learn how to divorce as quickly as possible, for as little money as possible, as amicably as possible. We want people to get through the system faster so then they can restart their lives and feel a lot better. Did you ever play the game Super Mario as a kid? It's really a story about a guy breaking up with his girlfriend and his life getting progressively easier.
Ryan, appreciate you coming on today, bud.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. You know, a little cloudy, but you're from Canada, so it's, you know, a little cooler sometimes.
This is sunny and warm compared to Canada, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So Ryan Benson, you're a forensic accountant. I know what that term means in general, but want to explain it to the layman?
Yeah, so I work in high net worth and ultra high net worth divorce cases, either as an expert witness. So I go to court and I tell a judge how much money somebody has and how much money they're making. Or often in the United States and in Canada, I'm brought on as a litigation consultant. So I'm asked to run the divorce strategy for these really high net worth cases because divorce attorneys generally don't have that much experience running them.
I've heard from a lot of friends over the years, and you can kind of correct me through this, that the divorce attorneys never really want it to end quickly. Are you able to kind of weave people through, cutting through the bullshit and getting, because look, both sides aren't going to get what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to happen. So are you the voice of reason to clients of, hey, this is what you're going to, after you've done your homework, of course, this is what you're going to get. And it's kind of, hey, do you want to spend more on legal fees or do you just want to be done with this? And, you know, just talking with attorneys in general, I feel like they always want to throw it down the road.
That's a good point. And I have a book coming out. So the book is called How the Rich Divorce and Stay Rich. And part of that model is for people, for men specifically, it's a male-focused book, to learn how to divorce as quickly as possible, for as little money as possible, as amicably as possible. So we want people to get through the system faster so then they can restart their lives and feel a lot better.
Do you find most people just see red and think by going through the court system it'll be better and they'll get a favorable outcome versus, you know, my parents went through a nasty divorce. I saw each attorney get a retarded amount of money and assets got sold and net worth like dropped substantially. And looking back, it's like the only people that won were the attorneys and the judges. Outside of that, the family took an L.
Yeah, the families often do, right? So a lot of people, they treat the divorce system almost like it's a justice system. So they feel like they've been wronged. Yeah, right? It's not a justice system. They feel like they've been wronged though. So a lot of the times with, I see it with women and with men, and the flavor is a little bit different, but they feel like they need to exact some sort of vengeance.
The women?
Women, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, you know the setup. It's like the guy, he becomes successful, has an affair, marriage blows up, shit hits the fan, and then...
We've all been there.
Sure. And then what happens with those guys is that their wives are really pissed off. Or the guy gets really successful and ignores his wife. His wife's a stay-at-home mom. And ignores the wife. And then the wife finds the guy who pays attention to her, right? Because you can, as a man, you've got money. You can use your attention as a currency.
Yep.
You can use your time and your energy, right? So the guy focuses on the money, and he's all about the money. Forgets all of the other stuff, so she finds it somewhere else, right? And those women are really pissed.
Okay, that one kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
You're saying the one that got ignored, that went down plan B while still with plan A, gets divorced and gets more pissed?
More pissed.
How does that make sense?
It's women. It's emotional. It's emotional. And what happens is that these women end up having an affair of their own, but then they blame their husband for having the affair.
And then they're still vindictive when they go through the court process.
Of course.
Or even more vindictive.
Even more vindictive, because what happens in these cases, right? So they have, I mean, women grow up with this idea in their minds from a really early age where they meet Prince Charming, right?
Disney.
Yeah, yeah, it's Disney. So they meet Prince Charming, and then Prince Charming takes them off on this adventure. And they have a beautiful house, they've got the kids, they've got money, they've got access to great networks, all this stuff. And then Prince Charming turns out to be not Prince Charming. And that whole fairy tale romance just goes poof.
So I've had a lot of therapists on and, marriage counselors and stuff. And look, marriage takes work on both sides. So the fairy tale can exist, but both sides have to do the work. And I think that part's left out of a lot of the stories.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of men feel uncomfortable being Prince Charming for some reason, where they just say, I want to be me and I want her to love her or love me because this is who I am, right? But your job as a husband, as a man, is to take her on that adventure, take her on that storybook romance. And it's not just to have a business and then have all this money, but never bring your true values home, which is your attention and spending quality time with the person and your positive sort of uplifting energy.
I feel like that'll resonate with a lot of the listeners. Without going into too much detail, as a forensic accountant, what are you looking at to come up with your calculations?
Yeah, so in the court system, what happens, the question then becomes how much money does he make? And then how much money does he have, right? So what are we dividing and what's it worth? And what's the income on an ongoing basis, which is for alimony and child support, right? So I'm looking at how much is the company worth, or often it's a group of companies that are sort of interconnected, or I'm looking at all of the financial statements, all of the bank statements, all of the credit card statements, everything to figure out if this guy was a normal person who had a job, what would his income be on his tax return?
And vice versa, if it was flipped for the other side.
Well, in either case, generally speaking, the cases that I'm working with, it's the man who's the breadwinner.
Got it.
Yeah.
And are you mainly working with the male client to help him, or are you mainly working with the other side, or is it kind of divided?
Yeah, it's pretty divided. It's pretty divided. I find in the industry, women tend to want to do more forensic work because they've lost trust, right? So they've lost trust in their ex-husband. So if he says, I make $2 million per year, they go, it's more. But they don't have proof, so they want me to find the proof.
Forensic accounting ain't cheap.
That's true. It's expensive.
Anytime someone wants audited financials or anything on a business, I just cringe. I'm like, oh, there went six figures really quickly.
It can be. It can be. I've seen legal fees and total just costs of going through the system well in excess of seven figures.
And their net worth diminished at the same time.
Of course.
Because you're focused on that instead of that.
Yeah.
And so then both sides end up losing twice, not just once.
Both sides lose twice. When it's really combative, you see the man who's been working 80 hours a week, right? Now he has a second job trying to figure out the divorce, and he's now going to be taking care of the kids full time for
his allotted time, which means his 80 hours really just went down to like 55.
Yeah.
Or you're cramping no sleep, and then you're really screwed. And maybe you can answer this. I feel like a lot of those women don't understand, like, hey, shit happens, shit doesn't work. I get it. Divorce happens. I'm not here to say everybody should stay happy. It's just not going to happen. But don't go out and make either side, make the partner's life miserable. It's only going to affect both of you and the children and everything else involved. And I hope someone like yourself is able to go through the process and really, pull either party, even in mediation, if both parties are sitting in front of you, and really just shake it down in black and white instead of where the attorney sugarcoats it. Oh, you can get more. If you do this vindictive thing, it'll make him do this. And it's like, it's so easy. And I don't want to get flagged by YouTube, so I'll dance. but either side can say certain things based on certain movements that have gone on, and it will cripple your life. And people don't realize civil matters are non-expungible. If it's a criminal matter, you can get, stuff erased. But anything civil, it's like your lifelong report card. Somebody looks, they will find it. And depending on who that person is in business, depending on which way they want to go in life, and hey, most of your clients are very successful. But what if there's something that they want to take a different path on, that now this thing's lurking in the background going, oh, Ryan, you can't do that anymore because we found this. And that one move of vindictiveness will blow a lot of shit up years down the road that either side has not thought of.
Yeah, and when I do divorce consulting for men, a lot of the times I'm walking them through the 4 types of ex-wives. So there's 4 basic archetypes. There's
Did
one.
you come up with this, or is this an actual thing?
It's based on observation from my experience.
Gotcha.
So I deal with ex-wives a lot.
Okay.
And I notice that they fall into a specific pattern, right?
1 of 4.
1 of 4. So the first one is not combative, easy to go through the process with, and just wants what's best for the family as a whole. So she's more conciliatory.
Okay.
She's more laid back. She's more submissive and just wants to get through the process and move on. The second type, which you see with more professional women who work in the corporate environment, want what's best for them. So they want their fair share, right? So they're willing to go to negotiate. They're willing to be more combative. They're willing to be more assertive of what they deserve per whatever their jurisdiction is. And that one is a little bit trickier. You go through the process more slowly, right? Then you have the third type, and she just wants to burn this shit to the ground. Okay. So this is the ex-wife that's like showing up at the house, calling the cops, everything, right? So she just goes, I want vengeance and I'm going to get it. And I don't care what the consequences are.
Sounds like a party.
Yeah. If you like fires, it's a great party. And she's different, right? So this is, how do I get out of this as quickly as possible? And this actually changes how you look at the divorce strategy, because with the first type, who's more conciliatory, you go, okay, maybe we can make an offer that is so good, she'll take it, and our divorce lasts a month, right? The whole process.
Which would be ideal for everybody, minus the attorneys.
Yeah. The second one, maybe you have to go to mediation, or maybe the offer's good enough that she takes it, right? Or she just wants to check a couple of things and, whatever, right? So that's fine. Third one,
burn the world on fire.
Burn the world on fire, straight to court. You're never going to go through mediation. It's not going to work. She doesn't want to settle. She wants all of it.
Now you sound like my 3-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more childish that way. Like, it's, you did something to me, so now I'm going to do something worse to you.
Yeah, you're going to up the ante.
Yeah.
And then number 4?
Number 4, so the third one is more focused on the court outcome.
Yep.
Number 4 is not only in the court, but I'm going to use this as a leverage point for like a social cause. So this is the type of woman who's going to call your employer. This is the type of woman who's going to call your network.
Go on social media, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So they go public to win.
Shit, I don't know what's worse, 3 or 4. Or is 4 a combination of 3?
4 is like a combination. 4 is like Amber Heard.
Oof. Fuck.
So let's go public and let's make life really hard.
And then look like a dummy at the end.
Sometimes.
You're both going to get egg on your face. Nobody's coming out clean.
Nobody comes out clean. So part of coaching men through this process is talking about this and going, how do we navigate this best? And note that these types aren't static, they're dynamic. So how can we work with your ex in a way to move her away from type 3 and 4 and towards type 2, and then
Preferably.
ideally towards type 1 if we can get there, right? And part of that is reestablishing trust, part of that is reestablishing respect within the relationship. Even though the romantic relationship is gone, if you have kids, there's a parenting relationship.
Yeah, which lasts until you die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you find attorneys deter from type 1? Or paint the picture that the other party might not be a type 1, male or female, just so they can string it versus, hey, I understand you guys are having an issue. Maybe let's sit down in front of a mediator. Maybe not a formal mediator, maybe an informal one, and see if we can just hash this out real quick. And spend maybe 8 hours popping back and forth, going through it and seeing if it can be knocked out the park in one day. I'd much rather pay 8 hours of legal fees and bang it out the park versus drag this through the court system, paying court fees, attorney fees, travel fees, losing time, and just really having that monkey on your back.
Yeah. And I mean, most people will have the impression that the divorce system takes a long time. And
That's what I've heard, but I'm like,
but they don't know how long it can take. So the problem with the strategy that a lot of men go through is that they go, I can get this done quickly because it's logical, right? It's not logical. It's never logical. It's emotional for her,
which is going to make it a party.
which is going to make it more challenging. But men don't recognize that. And they say, I'm going to make a good offer. She's going to take it. That tries that, fails. Then they go, okay, well, maybe we can mediate it because they're dealing with a type 3, but they haven't figured that out yet. Maybe we can mediate it. Fails.
How do you, if you can share, take a type 3 and get them to a 2?
It's reestablishing boundaries.
Okay.
It's trying to reestablish trust and respect within that parenting relationship. So then the person who is angry starts moving through that grief process and gets to the point where she's saying, you know, my ex is a good guy, but it didn't work. Right?
Okay.
And then it takes the sting away because he's a good guy, but it didn't work, but he's a good father. And it's important that he has a relationship with the kids. It's important that he has a positive relationship here, so we're not fighting all the time. That sort of boundary reestablishment, making sure that the guy is being firm, making sure that the guy has self-respect, because this is often a self-respect problem. It's hard. And by working with men to do this, they start to improve that relationship gradually over time so she can calm down and not be so angry and be more willing to negotiate through the process more quickly.
You're almost like a therapist at the same time.
For that specific line of work, yes. Yeah.
Have you noticed by people bringing you in, you're able to streamline the process and shorten the length of time to get through everything?
Yes. And they're happier.
Can't put a price on happiness.
And their exes are happier.
Can't put a price on that either.
Right. It's important though, because if you think about it, I mean, there's so many different aspects to a divorce, but at the end of the day, isn't the point to be happier?
Yeah, you split for a reason.
Yeah, you split for a reason. Whatever happened, it wasn't working, right?
Let's not rehash the past. I want you to be happy. I want to be happy. I want the kids to be happy. And that's...
And the past is kind. It's over. We don't need to be worried about it anymore. You're never going to get back there. We're going to go to the future.
Do you ever find that the settlement process takes longer because one side wants to just live in the past and not realize every person is 100% responsible for 50% of the relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And that gets forgotten about. And so people want to live in the past and not realize, hey, this happened and this happened, which then caused this and this. And it's like, well, no, this person's just the bad person.
Yeah. Or it just didn't work, right? Mm-hmm. There's a concept that I explain to people, which is like if you take corrugated steel, right? Mm-hmm. You can bend it and it snaps back. You can hit it on something and it stays flat. Unless you bend it at a specific speed with a specific pressure, and once it snaps,
that's it.
It's never coming back, right? And a lot of men go through their marriage that way, and it snaps, but they're busy trying to fight it to get it back to the past. And the past is never coming back. So it's getting people to recognize that if they're there and go, okay, I'm never going to get there. Now I really have to move forward because the past is gone.
Do you find a lot of people are stuck there?
Yes. You see it a lot in men where their wives have had an affair
Okay.
and they think, I'm going to stay in it for the kids. Or, if we work on the relationship together and go to couples counseling and all this kind of stuff, it's going to work, right? And it'll come back. But what they fail to recognize is that once their wife has had an affair and he's willing to work on the relationship, she implicitly recognizes, this isn't like an explicit thought, but recognizes that he doesn't have the self-respect to leave because he's willing to accept that. And then her respect for him goes
That's a harsh reality.
down further. It's broken. The metal snapped.
Have you ever seen the metal snap and rebend back?
No.
Once it's there, it's there.
Once it's done, it's done. It's like with guys, you have to explain these things differently and then have some fun. And I tell them, did you ever play the game Super Mario as a kid?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Super Mario. If you play the game backwards, so from the ending to the beginning, it's really a story about a guy breaking up with his girlfriend and his life getting progressively easier.
That's a very mind-blowing analogy.
Or in this case, his wife, if I'm dealing with that.
Damn. What are some of the tips in the book that are, to push people towards reading it? Can they expect by reading your new book?
There's a lot of material on how to get through the system, right? But the first part of it is setting up the pins for what does rich mean in the first place, right? So I consider rich, there's a monetary aspect, but there's also a qualitative aspect to it. So you can have all the money you want in the bank.
And you can be miserable as shit.
Yeah. And that's a common story for guys, right? Like you'll have a dentist, right, who wanted to be a dentist when he was 20 and did all the right things and got married, had kids, beautiful home, great dental practice, everything's going well. And he wakes up at 45 years old and looks around and goes, this sucks. I don't like this, right? But why does it suck? So in the book, I have something called a marital audit, which deals with different things to look at within your relationship to establish whether or not things are going well, right? So there's different little tests, if you want to call them tests, or they're observations, really, to go, is this good or is this bad? And what does that mean? So the first part of the book focuses on that and trying to, if things aren't perfect or things aren't good, how to turn it around while preparing for divorce.
What if one side already threw the grenade?
Well, then the rest of the book is dealing with the divorce process.
Gotcha.
Tips on how to get through.
So you have the hey, you're thinking about it, and then, pin already got pulled. Now how do we triage?
Exactly. Yeah. Because I want people to get through as quickly as possible, at as little cost, losing the least amount of money, and as happily or amicably as possible.
What the heck made you go into this line of work?
A lot of things. I fell into it. I always was between law and accounting, and now I do, some would call it fake accounting because it's future looking, in a really, really niche world of law. And the fun part for me is getting to do the actual process. Like I like looking into the numbers and that sort of thing because, you hear allegations of the mob and the Cayman Islands and hidden Rolexes and cryptocurrency and
All that fun stuff.
hookers and blow and, whatever, right? You hear all those things and more. But then because it's high net worth and ultra high net worth, most divorces are caused by money, or many of them. These aren't. So it's all about what are the personality types that cause this to happen? What happened, right? And why? So it takes the money picture or the money part of it out of the picture and just focuses on like what really happened here. So it's mentally interesting for me.
It's a definite mind fuck.
Yeah.
So much to process at once. It's just interesting because I've heard so many friends' different stories over the years and just seeing things from childhood and myself and friends. It's just your 4 personality types puts a lot of sense into it. And some people just want to scorch everything.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of guys don't pick up on those signs in advance. And that's where this marital audit comes in. And it's really simple. As an example, how frequently, if you're watching this and you're married or you're in a relationship, how frequently are you walking down the street or at a restaurant or just out in public and some random person decides to cross the barrier of talking to you and your partner, your wife or your girlfriend, and say, hey, you guys make a great couple? Because that's a pretty significant barrier to cross.
It's a very big bear.
Yeah. And if you find that that's happening a lot, things are going well. And if you find that that's not happening at all, it doesn't mean it's bad, but it doesn't mean it's good either, right? And it's an observation like that. Or people will ask me, what are some of the signs to look for? And I kind of go like, come here. Have you had a blowjob recently? Or when was the last time? And they go, I don't remember. Like, bad. It's not going well. She's not attracted to you.
But then you got the other naysayers saying, oh, you can't judge that.
Yes, I can.
I'm with you.
It's an observation.
I'm with you. I'm just saying. I've said that and they're like, you can't base it on that. I'm like, well, why not?
It's an observation, right? And you go, you have random people coming up to you and they're giving you compliments. You don't have an issue on the blowjob test category. She's happy and friendly and bubbly and light-spirited, right? You're watching out for each other, right? Because you as the man have a job as Prince Charming to lead her through the fairy tale romance, and she gets to live it. That's the point. She supports you. You make the story come true.
You make too much sense, sir. If everybody could just understand it so simply.
It's hard to do, but it's easy to comprehend. It takes work.
Some
And a
people
lot of
can't
guys
even
don't like it.
Some people can't even comprehend it.
True.
They're looking at their fairy tale of whatever it might be and just, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever image you have in your head, I can't change.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'd be able to change your perspective, but, and your book will definitely, I feel like, change a lot of people's thought process on it. Because if you got a 3 or 4, like, buckle up, bitch. It's going to tickle.
it's going to hurt.
And it's not even,
you can move that.
And it's not even the financial part that's going to hurt.
No.
Any successful person's taking an L in business. Multiple. That permanent mark on your record, most of us have not.
Those are the kind of things where people go to exact justice for something that it's not a justice system, in the sense that it's not punitive. Like, you're just meant to, here's the money, here's how we're going to raise the kids, let's move forward. That's the matrimonial law system. That's how it's supposed to run.
That's how it should be. That's how it should be.
That's That's the purpose of it. But when one side or both sides go, I want to cause pain,
That's when the fun really starts.
that's when the fun starts. That's when your attorneys start calling you Porsche 911 because that's what they're going to buy after the case. And
Maybe a Lambo.
maybe, but it's not a fun system. It drags on forever and it makes life really difficult. So the book helps to reframe it for men. It helps them to think about the process differently and give them some thoughts on, if I'm getting divorced, here's what I need to do. If I'm trying to make my relationship better, here's what I need to do. I'm going to do them both because marriages end with death or divorce. So I'm going to prepare, right? And I'm going to make sure that I do the best job possible to, if it's savable, to try to save it. And if not, I'm going to do the best job possible to prepare for divorce. But I can do these two things at the same time, right? And then the book actually leads into, if people want to join it, I've started a community called the Rich Forum.
Okay.
And it's a group of all really successful entrepreneurial men. And the point is to build them up and make them better.
I like it.
It's to give them that rich life. A lot of people go through life, like I was saying, they hit 40, they look around and they go, this sucks. Why? And they feel lonely. So we're connecting them with other men who have been in the same spot before to go, okay, here's the past, it's done. Let's build something new that's bigger and better and gives you a better quality of life where you're happy, because you should be.
As we start to wrap up, Ryan, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, and the handle is Stay Rich Divorce. You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Ryan Benson. You can find me at stayrichdivorce.com. And that's pretty much it.
As we close, any final words of wisdom for some of the listeners that might be contemplating divorce or are already in divorce, aside from reading your book?
Call me. We can help. That's the point. We want to help people through the system if they're going through divorce, and we want to make it good. As good as it can be. And then when you're done, you want your quality of life to be better. Because that's the point.
That's why you split.
Yeah. I'm not happy. I need to leave. I want my quality of life to be better.
And you want to go be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. And people, guys think, and women think this too, actually, that there needs to be a real reason to leave. Being unhappy is one of them.
It's a very valid reason.
And women can leave and men can leave for any reason. So if she snores too much, that's a reason. She doesn't put the plates away, that's a reason. Technically, because it's in most jurisdictions, it's no fault divorce. So you don't need to be cheating.
There doesn't need to be a reason. You're just not happy anymore.
Yeah, yeah. She just snores. I can't deal with it anymore. And we don't have the money for an extra bedroom. So I'm done. I'm out of here, right? That's a real reason.
I'm sure that's happened too, which is the sad part. Well, Ryan, appreciate you coming on today, brother. And definitely making my wheels spinning. Next time you're in LA, we'll probably have to do a round two.
Love to. Love to. I'll be in town in November after the book launch.
Even better. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.